It's Hollie's Hotspurs, welcome back. Talking Tottenham every week, no better place to be sat. If it's a win, lose, draw, we'll be here for a chat. Best believe we tackle topics like Romero in the back. Heung-min Son, what can go wrong when he's on form? It's a dream come true, so sit back, relax and vibe with us. Special guests every time here to discuss. Bring your passion, come along for the ride, and don't forget to subscribe, cause...
Hello and welcome to another episode of Hollie's Hotspurs Live, where unfortunately tonight we have another loss to talk about, as we have lost 2-1 to Fulham at the weekend. And with me to do so, I am joined by two fabulous guests. Sorry, oh my god, I'm having a mare tonight already. To talk about obviously that start. Exactly that. I'm running on with the theme. But to do that, I'm joined by my two amazing guests. First of all, Jess, it's great to have you back on the show. How are you, my friend?
Thanks for having me. I've had a busy weekend, and I went to the Brit Awards, which was in Manchester. The first time it was outside of London, and we should really rename it the Olivia Dean Awards. And that was the joyful part of the weekend. And then I made the decision to stay in Manchester, beg them to put the Spurs game on a screen because it was at the same time as the United game. And I drowned my sorrows on a Sunday, watching on my own in Manchester. So, there's highs and lows of the weekend. We'll put it that way.
Oh dear. No, I mean, I rate it, to be fair. That's more dedication than I kind of had. But it's great to have you on, Jess. And also we're joined by Formz. Formz is made to be back on the channel. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me back. I'm surprised there's a show today. Was there football this weekend?
Not from Spurs.
Oh, I'm so used to it. It was almost just like I wasn't watching my team. I was just watching a Premier League match. I literally could have been watching Palace United, and I would have felt the same. I was more animated watching Chelsea Arsenal because of what's at stake than watching us. And it was just like, and then Richarlison scored, and I was like, why am I getting my hopes up? I'm just going to sit back down and shut up.
Can I just say as well, when he scored that little awkward tussle afterwards, I was like, what is happening? We can't even enjoy a goal. What happened there? To be fair, in the place that I was watching, it had no commentary. So I was just sat there watching. This is so weird.
That's a blessing in disguise, to be fair, because the commentary at the moment drives me insane as well. So I would have preferred that. But like I say, it's great to have you both on tonight. Welcome to everybody that's tuning in live as well, that's going to rewatch this. Obviously, I used to joke and laugh last year and say this was a therapy session. This season is a whole nother level of that. But I do thoroughly enjoy it with my guests and obviously you guys in the chat, because I think sometimes we do need a little debrief. So without further ado, let's kind of jump into it. Now, Jess, I'll come to you first. Obviously, we're still searching for a win, and at this point, any points at the moment would be great. I mean, what was your overall thoughts on the game?
Well, just quickly before we went live, I was like, well, probability says that we're overdue a win. I don't know, 10 games on the bounce, losing, no win in 2026. Something my karma is not that bad. Hopefully, this is the positive that I'm going to take. I'm praying for a win on Thursday for Palace. They've got a bit of rubbish form as well. So that's what I'm going to latch onto. But the game, I tweeted about this actually. It felt so frantic. Every single person on the ball felt like not only they didn't know what to do with it, that they also were rushed and just trying to get rid of it. It almost felt like everyone was just trying to get rid of the responsibility of the ball. And again, briefly before we went live, we spoke about Draugusin and him starting. And the thing that I'm so frustrated is that it's like these footballers know where to be and what to do, but they're not delivering. He was in a position to score and the delivery was just awful. If that was Romero, I think that would be in the back of the net. I know we're probably going to get onto the reffing in a sec, but to be honest, that's always I always think you're clutching at straws when you're nitpicking refereeing decisions, because it is what it is, and that's going to be throughout any game. That even my hockey games at the weekend, we nitpick those as a reason as to why we lost. But ultimately, at the end of the day, they're just doing their job. And yeah, I think obviously it's not gone in our way a few times in a row, but the only reason why we're so upset about it is because of where we are, and that is not because of the referees. We are where we are because we literally, those players look like they have not trained together ever. They all look like they've never even met each other before and been chucked onto the pitch. There was just no synergy, no link ups, no, I think what we were waiting for with Frank Ball, we wanted to see what he was trying to do. And
we're still waiting.
We're still not seeing it. Yeah, we've changed the manager and we're still not seeing it. So Igor's come in and he's made a couple of changes. You've got Conor Gallagher, who's a central midfielder, starting over Matisse Tell as a winger. And you go, what is this plan? What is happening? I can't get behind it, and as a viewer. And so I feel like maybe that's the disconnect. Like maybe the players can't even get behind it. They're like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Are we playing as individuals? Is it not coming off and that's why we're not enjoying it? We don't I don't know. There's a lot of disappointment, because I think really the ability is then, everyone's digging out players saying that they're rubbish, but they are good. They're just not gelling. And what is that? What is it? Tell me.
I think that's a frustrating thing, because these players have been together now for a while. Formz, you'd kind of hope they'd be able to play the basics, and we'll probably get onto what Igor Tudor said about obviously that result. But for you, your overall thoughts, just in general of the game, before we go into it in more detail.
I don't know what game it was. Was there a game? I just don't know. Look, it was one of them where I don't know where to start. Look, I'm not one to really jump immediately to refs, but this weekend I will, because when they're such big decisions, and goals, it's the name of the game. Goals change games. When decisions that are, look, when it's petty stuff like free kicks, or it should have been a corner and it wasn't a corner, stuff like that, or why isn't he given the foul? Cool, whatever. It's all happening at a million miles an hour. He's human, whatever. But, bruh, just pick a rule and stick with it. Don't pick a rule and then the week after pick a different rule. If last week's goal against Arsenal wasn't a goal, well then Fulham's goal wasn't a goal. Don't pick it that's why look, you can't blame the ref entirely for the result, because it is then in our hands to go and build momentum again and change it and rewrite the script. I just think that the team that he started with just didn't really look up for it at all, and it needed players like Tell, who, for a 20-year-old, his mindset, his mentality, his everything about him, say what you want about him as an actual footballer, but up here, he is so switched on and he's so beyond his years. And I think he's a very talented footballer anyway. Otherwise, he wouldn't have got the chances he got at Bayern Munich. Yes, we don't really know why they were so keen to get rid of him, but he wouldn't have got those chances. He wouldn't have kind of proved himself at times when he needed to. And then you've got the likes of Porro, who I absolutely love, who probably, yes, it's not nice when your players get injured, but needed quite a long break, because my God, he's non-stop been playing football. So it's nice to have those characters come off the bench and influence the game in the way that they did, and kind of prove themselves. But why is it taking substitutes that haven't played in a long time to try and impact the game, when it should be players that are in the thick of it, and not only in the thick of it this season, but also went through something last season where we were pretty much in the mud. We weren't winning games. And thanks to the manager, we were able to kind of pull ourselves through it and get some results when needs be. I think the Europa League is what the players we've got this season that played last season. I think the story of the Europa League is what's keeping their egos big, in terms of, well, we had to throw the league last year in order to win the trophy. Well, you don't have that excuse this year. So it's whatever you need to do to pick yourself, to get yourself out of this rut, do it. I feel like we're not a team, and it's become players who look, no club is big enough to like too big to go down, because if you don't win games, you finish in the bottom three. Tough, doesn't matter how big you are, you didn't win the games, you're going down. But I think in terms of players, there are players that are too big to go down, and I think there are. And I don't really want to nitpick particular players, but there's players who might think that they are way too big to go down, and they are. And in their heads, they're fighting for their own either sell-on value, or they're fighting for their own pride, or they're fighting for their own reputations. And within that, they don't want to make the mistakes. So they are either playing it safe or not taking risks. And that's another massive contributor to why we're not winning games. Just play as a unit. Look at Burnley. Look at Wolves. And they're playing for each other. Oh my God. Yeah. I love this. This is going to be great.
The fight just doesn't feel like it's there, does it?
No.
They're not working together or for each other. They're not, They haven't got that grit, that determination, that like pull it out the bag, no matter how messy or dirty the win. Like they just don't have that. There's no,
we've got players like that, but Romero decided to get himself sent off. Kulusevski has clearly had an injury that no one's ever seen in football before. And you've got game changers like Tudors who's injured. So we've got those players, just not available.
They're just not playing.
Yeah.
They're not on the pitch. You've got like people like Xavi and Wani, and whenever they're on the screen, it looks like they're about to cry. And I'm just like, imagine walking onto the pitch against someone like Xavi. And I like, look, obviously incredibly talented as a footballer, but he's not doing it for us. Like, if I were an opposition team, would you be scared of someone like that? Like, no, there's no intimidation whatsoever. So it's just, and Mickey's head is obviously down. I don't know what is going on there, but he's not been performing. He's not been doing any sort of like wonder runs. He's maybe got us out of jail with a couple of tackles, but not nearly enough to game change at all.
No, and I think that's the most worrying thing, because obviously this relegation thing, I know lots of people, I mean, it's probably split, but I think lots of people think that we won't go down, and others are thinking, actually, the way that the players that I'm seeing right now, they're not capable of it. I don't think they, like we kind of both said, they've not got that kind of mentality, so to speak, to be able to do it. I mean, Jess, for you, obviously, I know Formz has mentioned the starting 11, and we will talk about it, because Igor Tudor went for that 4-4-2. And for me, I was a little bit surprised, because my biggest pet peeve with Thomas Frank was not playing players in their right position. And then you see Conor Gallagher playing where he plays. Then you see where Archie Gray is playing, and you're thinking, I know Formz mentioned it earlier, but with Tell, with Richie, well, we've got these players that can play these positions. Start them.
Archie, you just mentioned him. I have to pay him his dues. Like, he is so young. He is someone who's so determined. He was instrumental in our goal when Richie came. And again, Richie, like, he has it. And I know that Richie's sort of been in this position before, and he is a menace on the pitch. And that is, if you're not going to like actually kick the balls in the back of the net. We had one shot on target that whole game. That's it. That is it. That, like, the fundamentals of football, like, you can talk about every other thing on the planet, but like the fundamentals of football to win a game is you have to get it in the back of the net. You have to at least like give it a go. Like, the goalie needs to at least try for something. And it's tough. I think Gallagher's, for me, he was our only signing, so there's that. And
can't knock Sousa.
But like, but like, why is he playing out of position? Why are we doing that when we've got the positions available? Like I said at the beginning, we just want to be able to make sense of something. We want something to back. If we were watching and it felt like the players played the absolute best that they could be, then I think I'd be like, well, obviously the refereeing is why we didn't win, like, you know, the attitude or whatever, the momentum went down, like, and I do get that, and those are game changers, as they're important, but we didn't act like a winning team at the weekend. And I also think there were so many, and Igor's pointed this out as well, and I remember seeing it on a stats board about how little amounts of running the Spurs players do. I seem to remember last season everyone was like, and was running their socks off, and that's why they were getting so injured. I'm sorry, we're still getting all the injuries, but they're not doing any running. I watched some of the play in the highlights, and there were just parts where, like, Xabi was meant to be playing, I think, on the left, and then he was caught like just completely on the other side of the pitch. His player was wide open, and because he wasn't there at all, there was just these ginormous gaps in the pitch. If you watched any of their breaks, they had the luxury of choice and also to be able to run with the ball. And there was not a single Spurs player pressuring them. And so, like, even when you look at the build-up to the goal that should have been disallowed, these players had the choice of who they wanted to pass to, no pressure on them whatsoever. Draugusin was just waiting and then like didn't even dive properly. If you want to get the foul, I think you have to dolphin dive apparently. But I don't know. There's just all these gaps, these holes. They can't bother to run. And then when Igor has come out afterwards, Igor Tudor said, "Yeah, we've got people in the midfield and they just won't run." And if you watch the highlights back, watch it. They're just stood there, or they're like jogging. They're just completely not going with their player. There was another. I think it might have been the Arsenal game where like Jed just like sees his player over his shoulder, then he sees him make a run. I think it might have been Eze or Saka, and he just lets them go, or he gestures to someone else and he just lets them go. And you're like, what are you doing? You're meant to be playing. You're meant to be going from here. That's your ball. Oh, you just want to shake him, don't you?
I know. And I think you make a great point, because I can't remember when it was in the game, but I think it's been doing the rounds at the moment on Twitter. And it was when we had the ball at the back, and I think Draugusin's made the same pass twice. And I can see Basuma sat here not wanting to make that run in to be that option to then outlay the ball. I mean, Formz, like Jess has said, there's so much space for opposition to be able to go and do their thing. And we talk about a lot about allowing players to have so much space on the edge of the box. And again, we concede from a goal. Granted, Iwobi's goal was brilliant, but there was so much time and space on the edge of the box. It seems to be a reoccurring thing.
I think Vicario probably could have done something about Iwobi's goal, but I won't go there. I mean, you mentioned Basuma. I genuinely, until you just mentioned him, forgot he was playing. Just like play football. It really can't be that hard. Like it's unfathomable. I watch quite a lot of non-league football because one of my friends owns Eastbourne Borough. They play in National League South up the Eastbourne Borough, and those players are so good. They are so good at football. So the Premier League, they are freaks of human nature. Their talent level to be able to get to that point in football, you can't have lucked your way to it. Just play football. Like it doesn't make sense. One thing that every time I watch Igor Tudor's press conferences, I like the way that he speaks. But there's one thing he keeps saying, like recurring, that's getting on my nerves, and it's like, this is not the time to play a system. Like, we just have to come in and do what we've got to do. But if the problem before was that the players were taught, well, first of all, Ange's system, and like that they were being taught Thomas Frank's system, which we still don't know really what that system was. But if that's been ingrained in them, they need another system to just head towards. But this guy's come in and kind of just gone, okay, let's get out of this mess. We won't have a system to do it. We'll just play. And the players are like, oh, cool. So we've been playing football. We'll just keep playing football. But you playing football hasn't worked. You need a new system to play in. And I don't understand. I don't understand. It's so frustrating. Cool. Some players, actually every player have their off days, their inconsistent days, and maybe it doesn't work. There's one or two heads in the dressing room that maybe aren't with it for whatever reason, and it brings the rest of the team down. Cool. We're humans. It happens. Week after week, it is literally the same thing. And everyone comes out and says, oh, we must be better. We'll train harder. We'll do this. But there's only so many times that you can say, we've got to get better, and you're not getting better before you start. Like, my brain explodes every single week because I don't understand how you can, and I'll go back to the point of the question that you asked, how you can give players and teams of all qualities, whether it's a City or a Wolves or a Fulham, like enough space to feel like they are prime Barcelona. Like, and I'll take it back to that West Ham game. We unlocked something that had been missing in their brains in terms of confidence to make them feel like they were able to run rings around a big Premier League side. And then they went on this like purple patch that, thank God, that's over. But they went on this run of consistent, confident form that was like, oh, yeah, that's what we can do to teams. When are we going to play a team that's worse than us on paper, so we can then unlock that confidence and then go, oh, if we can do this against Fulham, we can do it against Palace. If we can do it against Palace, screw it. Let's go to Anfield and try it against Liverpool. We won't win, but we'll try. All I want to see is the trying. And it's like they've all just given up, because last season there were 3 teams that were way worse than us that were evidently going to go down. And so this season it's like, okay, well, there are 2 teams that are most likely going to go down in Wolves and Burnley. But then that third one, we're not safe with anymore. So what are they looking at in the table, and what are they looking at week after week in their own performances and going, nah, we're good. You're not good. Do something.
I think that's the thing as well, because
I don't want to go to Melbourne. I don't want to do it.
It feels like the reality really hasn't sunk in for them. They're not playing like they're battling relegation. Like, what? Why are you not scared? Why are you not scared for your future? Why are you not scared to go away, Millwall?
I think that's.
But the manager
yeah.
won't. The manager won't let them. The manager won't let them think about it. He also keeps saying, even his press conference after the Fulham game, he got asked about relegation again, and he went, "Look, you keep asking me about relegation. I'm not talking about relegation. We're not thinking about going down. You probably should."
He's probably trying to
give it a go.
He's probably trying to instill a mentality that they're not that. But I think that they all need a reality check. They all need to have a long look at themselves and really think about it and be like, are you a Premier League team? Because you're not acting like it.
And I think this is the biggest thing for me. And kind of flipping it on its head is the fact that obviously it'll be awful as us as fans if we go down. But I don't know how they haven't got in their heads, Jess, that they'll have a mark next to their name, that they were a Premier League player that got relegated at Tottenham. Like, that in their head must be causing something. But at the moment, like you said, it doesn't seem there's going to be a response. Imagine,
you are part of the squad. Like, Romero was captain. If should it happen, Romero, like our world winner, like just world-class player, was captain of the team that got relegated. That is so embarrassing. Like, how are they even going to move on to anywhere else after that? Anyway, what is their legacy? It's hard to believe that they were part of the squad that won in Bilbao, and we all know that was a bit of a thumb war of a game anyway. But to lose our top goal scorer from last season and to not replace him, and then think about the impacts that it might have on the dressing room, I feel like it feels like no one cares. It genuinely feels like no one cares.
Yeah.
And that goes right from the top all the way through to managers who go, yeah, okay, I'll take the paycheck, but do I really care? Because actually, Spurs have such a bad reputation that it's not even going to dent mine if I don't do well there. The players don't even seem to care. And I don't know why we care so much and they don't.
I think that's the most frustrating thing. I think, as like I say, I hope we don't, and I really hope we don't, but it is looming that this could be a massive possibility. And I'm going to take it back. I know it's all out of order, but Formz, I know we mentioned at the start, obviously, this kind of thing with VAR reffing, and I want to kind of tie it into mentality. I'm not saying it's an excuse, but for when players start a game 7 minutes in, a decision like that goes their way, like, part of them must be thinking, what is the point? Why do I bother? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yes, but at the same time, they get paid a very nice wage to not have that be their mentality. Like, it's like tough. Like, yeah, as fans, we can use that as an excuse post game because we're allowed to. Like, we're the ones that pay the ticket money. We're the ones that invest our time, our money, our tears. So we are allowed to make up excuses, whether they are as dumb as, well, the pitch might have been a bit wet, all the way to the referees were terrible. But as players, you are conditioned to, whether you go 1-0 up or 1-0 down, you are conditioned to, okay, I'm still in this game, whether it's 7 minutes or 97 minutes, we play football until we die. So I don't really think, look, obviously, and again, I keep saying they're human because I'm trying so hard to not, like, I'm trying to see, like, what the hell is going on. But if it's shaken you and that decision's gone against you and the ref's not been the one and it's really early in the game, cool. Let it get to you for a minute or two, snap out of it. And if you can't snap out of it, that's when you need the leaders on the pitch to go, oi, snap out of it. And that is again what we're lacking, because Maddison injured, Romero, don't get me started. Like, and as much as I love Mickey van der Ven, and I think when he has got a fitter, better squad playing with him and he's wearing the armband, it's fine. In this kind of situation, I don't think he's an experienced enough player in these types of scenarios to bear that weight. And that's not saying he's not captain material. I still do think he's fantastic, but I also think that we are lacking the solid leaders, which again just doesn't really help, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, go on.
Can I add to that? I like, if you think about how Sonny was, and obviously again Son is Son, but imagine how much he would care right now and how much we lack that. And I know, like you said, obviously we don't have Madders around, and I think he would be the same. He'd be wanting to lift people. I think Madders was a little bit of a confidence player as well, though, so like ideally he wouldn't be like also down in the dumps. But I think we're really lacking that like strength of quality where it's not impacted by the like feeling down. It's like picking yourself up despite that. And I feel like you touched on that with Mickey, like him not quite being experienced enough for him to feel like I think he's letting his emotions override that sense of like, actually I've got a job to do. And I think he's going, well, it's fair enough that I feel like this because that was a rubbish on-field decision, like you said, 7 minutes in. But he's the one who needs picking up. Yeah. And ultimately, yeah, that is a lack of experience, but that's like lack of life experience. That's not just football. And even with Romero, I think his attitude's slightly different. Like if you think about the difference between his captaincy and Son, or like even like when Lloris and like Harry Kane were on the pitch, they're people that you look up to like no matter what. And I think that's what we're lacking for this young squad, and it's not helping the lack of unity or synergy that we're seeing on the pitch.
No, and that's a great point as well, because obviously we kind of forget how young Mickey is. And again, I'm not making excuses for it, but it's true. It hasn't really, what's the word, kind of, like you said, have that life experience to be able to kind of encourage the rest of the team to get on. And that is obviously because they are young. It is a young squad. And I think, again, that's another problem we've had in not being able to bring in players that have that kind of experience to be able to go on and try and keep this team building. I mean, we could talk about the January transfer window, but that's another question in itself, and I can't be bothered to go there tonight. But the thing is, for me, obviously, second half forms, I was intrigued that Igor didn't make subs at half time because it clearly wasn't working. We had to wait to the 58th minute, and obviously we saw the likes of I'm trying to remember who it was now, Richarlison, Tell, coming on the pitch, and Sarr. And for me, I want to point out on Sarr, because that midfield, we've spoken a lot about tonight, about the gaps in midfield, and Sarr is an absolute engine. So I was just baffled at the fact that it took so long for Igor to realise, put him on.
I mean, it's, if you can hear a bunch of laughter in the background as people in my living room having a great time, clearly. Not Tottenham fans, any of them. What? Oh yeah. So it's actually way earlier than a lot of our previous managers would have made subs. So it's like one of them things in relativity where it was kind of early. But yeah, I agree. Changes should definitely have been made at half time. Maybe it was a case of, I want to try and keep whatever level of confidence these players have got still intact by not like slinging them off at half time and going, no, you've had a terrible half. But at the same time, some of these players might need that kick up the backside. We've been saying for however many years Sarr's been a part of us, he is an absolute engine. I think his best work does come off the bench when there is 20, 25 minutes left, because tired players on opposition teams just can't handle the fact that he's everywhere. So I wasn't mad that it took a little bit longer for him to come on. At the same time, maybe if he did come on at halftime with the others, we might have got more than one goal. So I'm not necessarily mad that the subs weren't made at halftime, because maybe I understand why. But at the same time, now he knows that if that is the case against Palace and the first 45 just wasn't good enough, make the changes, but also start the players that you know can get you something.
Yeah, definitely. And in the right positions as well. Like I said, I'm
Yeah.
fed
Oh
up
my
with seeing-
God. Completely. Like, as much as we've got our injury problems, we can name an 11. We can name an 11 with everyone in their right position. I'd love to see that. I don't think we've seen that once this season. It's actually it's baffled. Like, yeah,
Richie's got to be our top goal scorer at the minute, isn't he?
He is.
He has to be.
He
So
is.
again, why are you not starting your top goal scorer?
I'd love, look, as much as all three of them are strikers, I'd love to see a front three of Kolo Muani on the right, Richarlison on the left, and Solanke up top. Make it happen. They're all fit.
Exactly. Yes. I agree with that, because Solanke coming back, you're never going to be 100%, but you need something to aim for. And he is a game changer. I think he's a game changer. And then you've got Richie, who's an absolute menace. And then Kolo Muani, who recently has unlocked his scoring powers. So yeah, why not? And why is it that we can see this? And like, what's happening in training that we're not seeing? Sometimes I'm like, this is why we want something to root for, but it's hard when you don't understand it.
I know, and that's kind of been the theme of all season. I mean, the real positive, obviously, is when we actually managed to get on the score sheet, and it was that combination, Jess, of obviously Tell with Archie Gray, ball in, Richarlison there, rising like a salmon and putting it in the back of the net. And I know you mentioned it earlier as well, about the whole tussle of trying to get the ball back. I mean, it's just frustrating, again, that things like this happen, but it was great to see, obviously, Richie on the score sheet and us actually finally get a goal back.
So I because there was no commentary, I was just watching this and I was like, what's he want? What's he doing? Was he trying to celebrate with the ball? Is that what he was doing?
I think he was trying to get the ball back to the centre spot so we could restart.
To just hurry it up. Yeah. Honestly, it makes me cringe so much, and I was like squirming on my own watching it, because I don't know, it was just, and everyone looked at me and was like, what is going on? And then we're all staring at the screen like, what is happening? Anyway, I was like, well, actually it was a goal, so I'm happy, I think, question mark. Yeah, it's a tricky one, like being able to celebrate just that we scored the one shot on target. I mean, it shows that we can do it. That's like what I'll take from that. And if you look at
what we've come to,
but that's what I mean. Like before we went live, me and Hollie were like, I was like, normally I like to try and think of like any positives. Imagine if we just like weren't even, I mean, we're not getting shots on target. We only had one and it went in. So like, that's, I think Igor, if you're listening, that's what you need to do in training, right? Get some shots off. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it really, because that's my positive. And I've been thinking this whole time we've been live.
I know it is, and that's the thing. Like, I'm normally a very positive person, and it gets to that point where we're kind of picking at straws because there isn't much positivity to talk about. I mean, Formz, like, obviously getting a goal. I mean, we could have normally scored right at the death as well with Polinia's kind of half shot effort. I mean, to me, it proves that there's something in there, and I think all of us know that there's players in there. It's just how we try and get it out of them to go and get the business done.
There's always been something in there, because at our very core, we are Tottenham Hotspur. Like, as much as we might not have made the most spectacular of investments in players over however many years it's been going on, like we sign players that are very good footballers. Like, we've had very good squads, very good teams, some that were incredible and didn't get over the line, and then last season a team that finally got over the line. Like, of course we can do it. Look how many goals we scored under Ange. Like, it's something that is ingrained in them as people and as players. It is literally just a confidence thing. And as much as I can sit here and be like, oh well, they're getting paid X amount of money to like just snap out of it, I get it. When one or two players aren't confident, cool, the other players around them can lift them up. When an entire squad has their confidence on the floor, it is very, very difficult to then go, let's collectively rise this together. And I think Thomas Frank's issue was that it was, okay, he came in, he was like, let's fix the defense. And then over those first few games when we were like, oh, we're playing really well defensively, then he was like, right, let's try and shift onto more attacking football, and then we just started conceding a whole bunch of goals, and it just all went wrong, and their confidence was low. It was like, okay, well, I can't fix the attack or the defense until I fix their confidence, and then it just went downhill from there. So Tudor's come in as this king caretaker who usually comes into situations where maybe it's bad for 3, 4, 5 players, and he gets the whole team going and puts his arm around those. He's had to put his arm around 20 plus players and try to get them all singing from the same hymn sheet, where each individual player probably reacts slightly differently to certain methods. And it isn't a come in and quick fix like it has been maybe a Juve or a Marseille or wherever he's been, and it's worked immediately. It is a come in, assess the situation, try and figure out how to make it work as soon as possible, and then make it work. So as much as he came in with 12 or 13 games to go, and it was like, okay, sweet, he's got enough time based on his track record. I really wasn't hopeful that 12 games was going to be enough, and we're starting to see that, because he's come in with the right mentality, but when your confidence is already on the floor, how are you able to soak in somebody new's philosophy and just make it work from the get-go? So even before he's got tactics to fix, it's like, come on, your turn. Oh, you've fallen back down? No, okay, both of you at the same time. Oh, and there's 18 more of you I've got to do that with.
I've heard he's 6'5", so he's probably got pretty long arms. So
great, so he can do 3
seems
players
like
at
a
a
bit of a
time.
beast. I love it. I did love the dinner that he took them all out on. That did seem cute, and I feel like it is a good start. And yeah, okay. So if we do have some positives, I think we worked it out. It's like they have to win at least like 3 games, something like that. I don't know what the maths of that is, but we can do that. That is so doable, and it's doable on Thursday as well. So 3 points soon come. It's just, you're right. He is having to pick up the entire squad, isn't he?
It's hard. It's hard because they don't even have, other than, what is it, the goalkeeper coach and the set piece coach, the entire backroom staff changed. So it's not even like you've got those stable figures there who understand what the problems were because they lived through it, to try and be that comfort blanket for the players. It is literally a whole bunch of new people coming in and going, we're going to change things. And the players go, you ain't been here before. Good luck.
Good luck with that.
That's it.
I think that's the interesting thing as well, because obviously there was loads of names floating about before Igor came in. And it was kind of like, do we bring back a father figure, or do we just go cold turkey and be like, let's bring someone in that doesn't really know what's going on to an extent of what it is to be Spurs, I guess, to that kind of extent. But it is a massive gamble, I think, Jess.
Yeah, it felt at the beginning, well, with Igor Tudor's like press conferences, it felt like he got it. It feels like he's obviously very frustrated right now, and some people haven't liked him digging out the players and not taking accountability. But I think he's like, we all saw that clip of him trying to tell Mickey to do something and Mickey just completely not listening to him. I can understand why you'd be frustrated if you're telling your players to do something as their head coach to fix stuff and they're just point blank refusing on HD camera. I feel like they need to trust him, and maybe they're getting there. That's where we're at. But really, Frank should have been gone a long time ago, in my opinion. And I know that obviously they were trying to stick with someone for longer, but it was just going from bad to worse, and no one was seeing a way out of it. And if Igor had been able to come in ahead of the transfer window, maybe something would have been different there. I think it's really hard. I know, Formz, you mentioned about implementing a system, but it really is hard when you've just been dealt a bunch of cards that you never even chose. And people are coming back from injury. Any player coming back from any type of injury is never going to be 100% of what they were just before. I think it's like picking up a lot of fragmented pieces, but it's doable.
I hope so. I really do. I think the biggest thing for me, Formz, and I was feeling really negative before we went live, the good thing is teams below us did really bad at the weekend, which also kind of gives me a little bit of hope. But that's only one weekend out of the rest of the weekends that are coming.
Yep. I'm worried. I'm more worried about Forest than I am West Ham, especially because we've got to play them. And they showed some real fight against Liverpool. They showed some real fight against Brighton. I know it was like a mad 10 minutes where all the goals were scored, but it's when you, I think, look, we've got to beat Palace. It's like literally we have to beat Palace. There's no room for Dr. Tottenham. I don't care how bad they've been recently. There's no room for it. Like let them sacrifice the league to go and win the Europa or whatever, or the conference or whatever they're in. Enjoy, give us the points. You don't need them. You're not going down. Focus on Europe. Be Dr. Palace, please. Like that's what we need. And then the Forest game is the I can't believe I'm saying this, but is the relegation 6-pointer. What? And the thing that worries me with that game is because we've struggled so much to get going at the start of games and have either completely capitulated in the second half or given it a good go in the second half. We can't afford to do that against a team like Forest. We need to dagger them immediately. We need to start on the front foot. We need to score goals, because this season their problem has been they haven't been able to come back from deficits. Whereas if you give them a little bit of confidence, they probably will run away with the game. So it's just win. We don't even need 3. Just beat 2 teams that are there for the taking, and fingers crossed, West Ham are just shit.
Fingers crossed. I mean, obviously Palace is that next game up on Thursday. Jess, how are you feeling for it? Because I know Formz has just said it has to be a must win. There's no doubt about it. We have to win that one.
Well, I was just having a little look at their results in the lead up, and they're not getting more than like 1 or 2 goals a game, which is pretty similar to us. But if anyone is listening, the powers that be, put on Richie, put on Solanke. We've got some goal scorers in our locker. They're back. And I just think that they really do need to ride any sort of positivity. They need to trust in the manager, because ultimately they actually need any sort of synergy, like a team that have actually played together before. That's what we need to watch, because that's the only way that you can back each other, play for each other. I think why it was so disappointing yesterday is because it just literally looked like some of them just couldn't be bothered. And that is, again, like Formz has mentioned, these are elite athletes. They did not get to where they are for being lazy and not playing football. Like, they can run more. They all can. And there's subs, and Saar can come on and run them all their socks off. So I just think this is why it's possible, and this is where they need to pull their finger out and really have a bit more of a reality check. I heard Basuma's after post-match interview, and he was given the platform to say what the fact, he was a bit speechless, which is understandable because it's hard to know what the right thing to say is when you've played so badly. But at the end, it was no, please, trust that we do trust each other. We believe, we all believe. And he said it over and over again. And I was like, you know what, actually, maybe this is the turning point. We're hitting the bottom and the only way is up. So it was nice to hear him say it. And I'm just hoping he delivers on it.
And it reels us back in every single time.
He does. It is so mentally draining being a fan. It's ridiculous. I mean, for you, Formz, it's at home. I know that hasn't really made much difference in recent times, but obviously losing to Fulham away, hopefully if something has clicked in their brains and they are thinking this is the one we need to go and win, being at home hopefully is only a good thing.
Which would make sense any other season. But what I will say is the first half of the North London derby, I was there. That atmosphere was unbelievable. Loved it. And the players got behind it because the fans got behind the players. And I understand when fans go, well, they're not giving us a reason to support them. But at the same time, you're paying all that money, you're traveling all that way, you're going to the game, sing some songs. So if we get behind the team from the get-go, that's where the home advantage kicks in. And it can't be that toxic atmosphere. And Arsenal was different because so early on in the second half, that Gyökeres goal literally I've never felt an atmosphere get sucked out of the stadium so quickly, and that bubble just burst. Whereas if that goal doesn't go in, the atmosphere stays the way it is. We just emotionally connected with Delhi again. It would have lifted us to hopefully a result that was less embarrassing than 4-1. I didn't even know it was 4-1 until I got home because I left after the third. But it was, we need the atmosphere to really be home advantage. But please tell me I'm not the only one in thinking that Johnson's going to drop a hat trick, right? Like, that's just an inability.
I had on my notes next to talk about Brennan Johnson doing exactly that, because obviously he got an assist before this game, and I just had written down, I said, watch him score a goal against us. Like, it's just written, isn't it?
Would he do that to us?
Yes.
Would he?
Yes.
Friend,
yes,
friend.
he would.
Think of the fans.
And I actually
you.
think he does. I miss him as well. Brennan Johnson, if you're listening, broski, none of us wanted you to go.
No, we didn't.
But please don't dunk on us. Like, you're chilling. You'll be a Palace player next season. You'll be in the Premier League guaranteed next season. You might be another European champion at the end of this season. But Brennan Johnson, please don't dunk on us. Just chill, please.
Have mercy. Remember us. We're family.
Literally.
You mentioned Delhi as well. Did you see the interview that he did? There was a clip where he was talking about him and Son really sinking in the fact that the fans were singing their songs, and they just looked at each other and were like, we might not get this feeling again, but like they said it was amazing and it was like the best thing ever. So yeah, anyone who's off to the game, like, you need to sing your little hearts out.
100%. Hopefully, like I say, that with all of us singing, we get something from this game. I don't even think, I mean, a point, fine, but 3 points is a must, like 100%. And it will be interesting to see how we kind of get on. I mean, I think someone put in the chat forms, I'll come to you for this one, said, have we discussed what happens to Tudor if he loses the next 2 games? I mean, could we be in a world where Igor Tudor gets sacked if we lose another couple of games on the bounce, do you think?
Yes, but I think if he loses against Palace, I don't think they should take drastic action. I think they should start looking for an immediate replacement. See how it goes. Well, who have we got after Palace? Liverpool.
Yes, I think
Anfield away.
Okay, great.
Anfield away.
So
don't we have Atletico? Don't we have a champs game as well?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So after Palace, get someone to agree to come, and then if we heavily lose that first leg at the Metropolitano, get rid of him, bring someone in immediately. The worst thing, the most tone deaf thing the club can do is, if they do end up sacking this manager, then spend 2.5 weeks trying to find another one. Like, it can't be the case. But the only problem is, you've brought in a caretaker who's built a career off successfully saving clubs that are in this position. If he can't do it, who
would
like,
take that job, by the way?
I don't even know if he's got his coaching badges, but like, give Adebayor a call, play a manager, need some goals, son, get back in. But like, I don't know. Well, I don't even want to think about it. I'd personally, even if we lost to Palace, but we showed a little bit more heart than we did against Fulham, and then we played Atletico and we showed a little bit more heart than we did against Palace, like, and it slowly improves, keep him, back him. He knows what he's doing. It might just take a little bit longer than it did in his previous jobs. But if we are completely spineless and we don't show a single bit of intent, then the man's had 3 games to try and at least get some life into some of the players. If that hasn't worked and we are on borrowed time, fine, do something about it, do it quickly. But if we see a little bit of something, then he's the man they've brought in. We've just got to give him that chance. We've got to back him.
Yeah, and I think
sorry, I was just going to add, it kind of screams that no one really knows what they're doing, because they're like not making any decisions, like just outright decisions. They're just waiting and then reacting, but poorly and slowly. So it's just like, oh, so messy.
It really is. And I think that's the biggest thing, like you mentioned earlier, Jess. We took too long to sack Frank because it clearly wasn't working. And then we had that January transfer window when I thought we were going to get someone in to bring a bit of life to the squad, to even have like a bit of fight for the position. Do you know what I mean? But
how delusional is it that we were talking about Poch coming back, and now I don't think Poch would even want to come back at this rate?
Oh no, that man
About
will
that.
die for Tottenham. That man is coming back.
But also that's like actually maybe we need people within the club that would die for the club. Like Sonny like lived and breathed the club, and Harry stayed as long as he humanly could without disrespecting himself. But he would die for the club, I reckon. And I just think that we're just lacking that. I don't have any player that I think currently would.
No.
Mm.
I'm with you. It's just one big mess. But hopefully against Palace, we can salvage something and then hopefully go on, get something from that Madrid game and then get something at Anfield. I mean, it's just crazy that we're in this situation. But hopefully...
Watch us win at Anfield, by the way, just because. Like, just literally just watch the only win we get for the rest of the season be at Anfield and watch it be 5-0.
I think I was having a look, and one of the last points we got was 2-2 against City in the form that we're in. And it's just like, what is going on? Why are we like this?
It's just so Spurs.
I know. It's such a, it's out of everything. I always say this all the time. Tottenham is a social experiment. All the time, every single year. I just pray for one normal day as a Spurs fan. Hopefully that will come at some point. I mean, it'd be lovely on Thursday against Palace, but we'll have to wait and see. But like I say, it's been lovely to talk to you both tonight, obviously about the Fulham game and more in general about Spurs. I know it's been quite depressing, but it's actually quite nice to talk it out. So we'll go around the table and say our goodbye. So Jess, thank you once again for joining us tonight. Where can everybody find you doing your thing?
Hollie, thank you so much for having me. I'm on the radio on Saturday nights, 8 to 10 on BBC Radio London, and on Sunday nights, 11 p.m. On Radio 1. And all socials is just my name. If you can spell it, you can find me.
Thank you so much, Jess. And also, Formz, it's been great to have you on as well. Where can everybody find you doing your thing?
Thank you for having me again. It is nice therapy. I'm smiling. I wasn't smiling earlier, so thank you. And yeah, just Formz on everything. If you want to listen to some music and cry, run it up. Jess sometimes plays me on her show, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you.
I know I've got a new one in my inbox, so I'm going to check it out after this.
Let's go. Yeah, so just Formz anywhere. Just if you want to see the face, type it in. If you want to hear me, type it in. The end.
Nice. I love it. But like I say, thank you both for joining me. Thank you to everybody that's been in the chat that's going to be rewatching this a little bit later. Like I say, let's try and hang in there a little bit longer. Hopefully we get something against Palace and we can all be a little bit happier going into next week. But that leaves you to say, until next time, go on you Spurs.